Okay, welcome. This is, as you could tell, this is going to be raw, unpolished, very little pre-production, no pre-production, no post-production. The only preparation I did was try to gather the sources and try to bring it on this very special day in the calendar. It's a very interesting Midrash which we have, so I felt it was worth it to at least present it and not let all the rawness get in the way. So with that being said, we're going to get into it. If you could stick around just for a little bit, hopefully you'll enjoy. If you have questions, share them in the comments. And if I make mistakes, just forgive me. I didn't manage to do the proper preparation. I would have done it, but I figured something better for this special day. Okay, so with that being said, we are going to be going into the Medrash on the birth of Mashiach. There's a famous, there's found in Eikhah Rabbah, and also in the Yerushalmi, we have the story of Mashiach being born. We're going to go into that and we're going to unpack it. So we have the story as follows. This is from the Yerushalmi. God terasek kume, that there was a cow that made a sound. Avad chad arve, there was a Arab that he was passing. Shama Kala, he heard the voice Amr Alei. So he said to the owner of the cow, Bar yoido, Jew, Shai Taracha v'Shai Kanecha. Release your ox and release your stuff. The Hachar Beis Mukdasha, because the Beit HaMikdash had been destroyed. The story continues. Gozman Tinusas, it happened the second time. Amr Alei, he said to him, Bar yoido, Jew. Kata Taracha v'Kata Kanecha. Tie it back up. The Ha Yolid Mak Mashiach, because Mashiach has been born. So that is the first part of the story. The story continues. This is the Agada in the Yerushalmi. Like I said, it's also found in the Medrash Eikhah Rabbah. The story continues how this person, he went and he found the mother. She was very upset, and she said, "Boy Anna Mechaknusat Sanua di Yisrael." She said, "I want to strangle the enemies of Yisrael." In referring to her son, she didn't want to say her son. She said the enemies of Yisrael. She wanted to strangle him. Because the day he was born, Eichah Beis Mukdasha, that was the day that the Beit HaMikdash was destroyed. So then the story continues. Basa Yaimin, after some days, Allahu Karta, he went to a certain city, Amr Allah, and she said to him, Mam minukasa Avid, Amr Allah min shaita de chamis chaminase asan ruchanu. So basically, the story continues how the winds came and took this kid and snatched the kid away. So this is the very cryptic story that we have in the Yerushalmi. So some questions which come up is, first of all, Mashiach's born, so why don't we have Mashiach? Why wasn't it solved? And then also, why did the kid just disappear? And then to take it a step further, why does the Yerushalmi need this story to tell us about this transformation, about the Beit HaMikdash being destroyed and then Mashiach being born? And the Yerushalmi points that we have in the verse itself, in Yeshayahu, we have the verse that says, Lebanon shall fall. That's the first verse. And then following, we have the verse, a shoot shall emerge from the stump of Yishai. So you see that first comes the destruction, followed by the growth. So why do we need this story of this Arab? So this is where the Maharal unpacks it, and he brings down a very interesting point, that the growth could only emerge after there is a destruction. And he brings down more examples than what we have here, but just as an example, you have by Sarah. It says, Ein Lavlad, she didn't have a kid. And then afterwards, we have the pasuk that says she gave birth. We have by Chana, it says she had no children, followed by birth. And Sion, it says there's no one that seeks her, followed by Redeemer. And then we have Yerushalayim, which we're going to get into actually in a moment. We'll take a look in that verse. So we see that in order to have the full rebirth, the rebuild, there first has to be that destruction in order to lead up to the rebuild. And this is what we have specifically when it comes to the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash. It says in the verse, For a comforter, Menachem, who might restore my soul, is far from me. Yeah, ainli Menachem, I don't have any comfort. That's what it says in the verse. And then if you look in the Yerushalmi, and the Yerushalmi over there, it discusses what is the name of Mashiach. So the Yerushalmi explains that it's Menachem or Tzemach. Really, it's Menachem and it's Tzemach. What's the idea of being the name Menachem and being the name Tzemach? Menachem is the idea of comfort. So we said in the verse that by the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash, that we had no comfort. Comes along Mashiach. What's the name of Mashiach? Mashiach is comfort. We were missing comfort. That is what Mashiach is. Mashiach is going to be comfort, but it's going to be followed by tzemach, not just comforting, but also growing. Comforting is fixing the past. Growing is building into the future. So the Maharal breaks down that this idea of this story of this kid is not literally that a kid was born. A kid was born, then we have the question. We have the question, where did the kid go? So the Maharal points out that the story is not telling us that there was a literal kid. It's telling us the concept. It's telling us that it's like a parable, that that the time that Mashiach, that at the time that the Beit HaMikdash was destroyed, that is when this kid in concept was born, that it brought in that capacity in order that we could have that building. That's also why the kid was taken away, because we weren't yet fully ready for the return of the Beit HaMikdash. But we already had the kid that was leading up to in that direction. And the rebuild is not only that it's going to be something new, but it's going to take what we had, the destruction, and it's going to be flipped into something positive, as we have in the prophet Zechariah, where he says that these fast days are going to be turned in l'simcha, l'sasin, l'simcha, to days of joy and feast. And that's all we have for now. Thank you very much for joining. Hopefully this gave a deeper perspective on the day, and maybe we'll merit the rebuilding very soon.